Oh, no.
I'd like to call to order the study meeting of the West Valley City Council this December 9th, 2025 at 4:30 PM in the multipurpose room of West Valley City Hall. All members of the council are present. Member Nordfeld, Member Wood, Councilmember Whetstone, Councilmember Harmon, and Councilmember Hune. Mayor Lang is joining us online. And I'm Mayor Pro Tem Christensen, and I'll be conducting the meeting this evening. We're also joined here with Mr. Efo Peely, our city manager, and Ms. Nicole Kamak, our city recorder. We'll move to the minutes of November 25th.
Move to approve the minutes of November 25th.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes of November 25th, please say aye.
Aye.
We have the introduction of new employees. First, we'll ask Deputy Chief Stokes to introduce his new employee.
Thank you. Kent Stokes with the Police Department to introduce Jenna John Stone, who recently started with our Records Department. We're excited to have her. She enjoys baking.
Yeah.
That's all I could get out of her. Do you want to say anything else? Great. Thank you.
Welcome. And now we'll ask Steve Calvert to introduce his new employee.
I'm pleased to introduce our newest addition to our team, Lorena Rivera. She was born in Gallup, New Mexico, and was raised in Ogden, Utah. She brings a wonderful blend of creativity, dedication, and heart to our team. She is an accomplished artist and works on doing professional makeup outside of work. She enjoys dancing, singing, and writing poetry and creating art, and has many different types of talents that'll be a great addition to our team. She is also a proud graduate of high school and is planning on going back to school next year to study psychology and criminal law. She also has a wonderful family, her wife, and she has an 18-year-old student that's in college and a 16-year-old student that's in high school. We'd like to welcome her and as a great addition to our team.
Hey, everybody.
Lorena Rivera.
Thank you for having me. Speaks.
Thank you and welcome. Regular meeting agenda for tonight. There are 3 updates to the agenda. First, we'll ask Sam Johnson to explain a special recognition we will be doing this evening in our regular meeting.
Hello, Council and Mayor and Pro Tem. We had the chance to work with former council member Corey Rushton on getting Hunter Elementary School involved in naming one of our West Valley City sweeper machines. So I had a chance to go out with some of our public works employees. Eric Madsen was there, and Misty was there as well, and Jason, the sweeper, machine driver. I'm sure it's a better title than what I just gave him. So sorry, Jason, wherever you are. But we went out and Eric Brondum Eric had a chance to present stormwater insight to the first graders and the kindergartners of Hunter Elementary School. They had a lot of questions that they were told by their teachers were not questions, but statements. But it was a lot of fun to listen to their ideas on West Valley City work. We had that presentation. Then we went outside and showed them the sweeper, and Jason turned on the sweeper, and that drew cheers and screams and lots of excited people as they saw dust going up into the machine. So they opened it up to all of the students at Hunter Elementary School, and they came up with a name. And we are recognizing them tonight for giving that sweeper a name. And so I would love if any of you would be interested in, I think the write-up is in your packet. If any of you would like to read it, we're going to have the principal will be there along with students and parents and others that will all be involved. I think it'll be a nice little event, and a thank you to them. And we're looking to do this more often, working with Public Works on naming some snow plows. And we have 4 sweepers, maybe naming another sweeper this year, and getting our elementary schools and potentially junior high and high school more involved in this. They were excited to do it. The principal thanked the city many times and said this was such a fun activity, and they're so proud of our city, which was really neat to hear. So
Is this the first sweeper we've ever had named?
we did this a few years ago. How many sweepers have we named in the past, Dan? Do we?
We've named a Vector truck before, but I don't think we've ever named a sweeper.
Okay. So a Vacker truck, I don't know what that is. So we'll maybe name that in the coming year as well. So we're in the naming game right now. So are there any questions?
What's the name? Yeah.
Oh, this is very exciting. So they provided us 2 names and we selected one of them, and it is so their mascot is the Golden Knights. That was one of their names, which is a lovely name and would be for a sweeper. We ended up going with another name that they provided us, which is Knight Rider, the Knight Rider sweeper, which is very exciting. Yeah.
I'd hate to have to paint it gold.
Yeah, I know. Trying to stay with their colors. But being the Knight Rider machine, it's only going to sweep the streets after midnight, which will be exciting too for the city. Any other questions? We're looking to do this. The decal will go on the sweeper probably at the beginning of the year. And then we'll get them a framed photo of it, and they'll be there tonight to get pictures with all of you as well, which I think will be fun. I don't want to do Nicole's job, but if there anybody that would like to present this tonight to Hunter Elementary?
I'll do it.
Okay, that's awesome. I think you have the packet, but I'll give you.
I'll give you that. Okay, thank you.
Sam, there'll also be a former assistant principal for Hunter Elementary there tonight too.
Oh, that's great. Oh, hello. What years did you do that?
I don't remember.
Okay. It'll be good to have you there.
Do you want to be that?
No, go ahead.
Awesome. And I think they are bringing, I know Corey Rushton's leading a little team to bring some treats and other things that will be outside of the council chambers for tonight as well, which will be fun.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Now, the second item, presentation of a check for the Utah Veterans Memorial by former Mayor Ron Bigelow. Anything we need to say about that?
No, sir, I think he's just planning on coming and saying a few words and then would like to present the council with that check.
Okay.
Maybe take a photo.
And I did see him last Friday or Thursday. He said he'd be here. If any of you have seen him recently, he isn't moving as swiftly as he used to be. So we'll watch for him. And finally, we'll ask Steve Pastrick to give us an update on the item that was continued from our November 25th regular council meeting. Application GPZ 4/2025.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and good evening, council. So this item, again, was continued from our last meeting. And before I get into the update, one thing I wanted to just point out is perspective from staff. So the designation right now on the property is rural residential in the general plan with agricultural zoning. And again, the request is to light industrial with M zoning. And while that's essentially the request is a change to industrial, one, in our opinion, another consideration would potentially be some other residential designation. So something that's not agricultural, but residential. So that's just our perspective.
Could you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. So like single family residential that's not agricultural zoning. So something that's not acre or half acre lots.
Because it's, general plan is residential, right?
It's rural residential,
Rural.
which means like 1 or 2 units to the acre. So very, very low density.
But the staff's suggestion is change this plot?
So just in looking at this larger area, if the question is, do we stick with agricultural zoning or do we go to industrial? We're suggesting there's at least another option to consider. Instead of just agricultural or industrial, it doesn't have to be just those two. There could be another option.
Sort of option, another option, I mean, residential.
Right. And our viewpoint, again, that's not what's being requested, but just
Right.
thinking about bigger picture.
Can I just maybe repeat what you said in my words? That there is a zone change request
Correct.
to manufacturing, but staff would suggest if you're gonna do a zone change, that it would be more in the residential realm instead of to manufacturing.
That's our perspective, but we just wanted to share that.
So Steve, I have a question.
Yes.
So residential is not an option tonight. So
Right.
this would have to be denied and another application in the future, if it came in, staff is recommending that a residential use would be better for this area?
That's our perspective, but again, I know
Okay.
that's not what's before you tonight. We just felt like it's worth sharing that information.
Yeah, but we would not change it to residential tonight, just in a
Correct.
future application. Okay.
Correct. So back to the specifics that, why it was continued. So the council did request that there be a development agreement. So we prepared that development agreement, and in your packet, there is information. There's the actual development agreement there, and I'm just going to walk through the provisions that are in that. So the first, and this is in the exhibit B, the first is that all the what we called agricultural outbuildings would be removed from the property by no later than July of next year. We included limitations on the hours of operation, given that there are residential neighbors. We also mentioned that basically 3 and 4 had to do with the home that's on the property, and basically just confirming that the home is actually just one home. There's no detached extra living space, and that home could continue under the industrial zoning. So that's what number 3 and 4 are about. Number 5 is that, so even if the zoning is changed to manufacturing, a trucking business does require a conditional use permit with the planning commission. So basically stipulating that and saying that needs to happen by March, that they would apply. Then following up on number 6, that any improvements that are required, so this would be things like walls, paving, landscaping, all of those things that would come with a trucking business. Those improvements would need to be put in by the end of November of next year. And in both the case of the conditional use and the application, as well as the improvements, if those things aren't done by the deadline, then the site just needs to be cleared of any trucks at that point.
But the zoning has already been changed at that point.
Right. That's right. Number 7 has to do with the masonry wall. So we do have within our code a section that deals with kind of an upgrade, if you will, a wall that has textured, like the post and panel precast walls with the texture and color. So that's what's being called out in number 7. Number 8 really is just saying we're on that north end, it's the properties adjoining city-owned property. And so having a setback there is not really as critical. There's no home, so giving us some relief there. Number 9 has to do with refrigeration units. And I'll come back to that. That's one area where the applicant was hoping to have some leniency there. But basically what this says is that either there would be no refrigeration units on site, or if they are, they're shut off. They don't run if they're on the site. And then finally, number 10 is that there would be certain use limitations. So basically some of the heavier industrial uses would be prohibited. So for whatever reason, this use didn't work out and they sold the property, that these other uses would not be allowed. So going back to number 9 about the refrigeration units, if the council is amenable to this agreement, which, to clarify, so they have signed the agreement that has those 10 conditions. They're willing to abide by those. Their hope is, though, that on number 9, that either they could have refrigeration units that would just be subject to our noise ordinance, or as an alternative, that they would limit the number of refrigeration units to 3, and that as part of the conditional use permit, there would be some limitations on where those would be stored. So there'd be like a designated area for those. So that's their hope, is that if we move forward and there's a development agreement, there could be some relief on that 9th item.
By refrigeration units, you mean
The trailers with refrigeration.
trailer.
Yeah.
I could see a standalone refrigeration unit out there too, you know.
Yeah, it was meant to be just the trailers, yes.
Stephen, I know some of the council have mentioned that they feel like this should be approved because our property next door has some industrial use to it. And then there's also a school down the road that isn't residential.
Right.
But at least residential use, but both of those are still zoned residential or agricultural.
Right.
They're just allowed within that zone.
Correct.
And this is a use that's not allowed in ag or residential zones. And so we're just spot zoning this one little parcel to allow them to continue to do what they've been doing against the zoning. And so I'm still like,
How many properties west of this property? Do you have a map with my Jenny?
So we don't go all the way out to 7200 West, but you can see there's this property is kind of the exception. We have another property to the south. Most of the properties west of this are very deep. So they have frontage on Parkway, but they're kind of skinny and very deep. This particular one, though, you can see there's a separate property that's over an acre south of this. But yeah, as far as how many properties, I'm not sure, because this doesn't go all the way out to 7200 West.
but from there to 72, it's all similar.
Yeah, it's very, very similar. You have these, very long, deep parcels. And again, most of those have homes on them, and then they have, some outbuildings, but then you do have, one example is Wat Lao. It's this building right here, which is a Buddhist temple, is that location there.
Did they have to get a conditional use permit for that?
So any type of religious facility is allowed in any zone. So whether it's church, temple, they can be in any place.
Church, schools,
Government,
city property.
government facilities, basically, yes.
And very much they're the same size, right? About 1 acre and above. Is that right? About 1 acre and above, very much.
So this particular property is just over an acre, but the properties west of here, many of those are bigger than 2-3 acres. Again, depending on the width.
So in the development agreement, they need to put in the fence, the masonry wall that fits the zone. What other requirements and expenses will they incur because it's a different zone now?
Sure. So with that, we do require any truck parking areas would need to be on a hard surface, whether that's concrete or asphalt. We would also require there be landscaping. And so the landscaping, whenever you're next to residential, there's a landscape buffer that's required in addition to the wall. So the main three things would be the landscaping, the screening with the precast wall, and then the surfacing for the trucks.
I was disappointed when our city put in the building there, because this is pristine open area. And I'm glad to see that we're putting in a park in our property to the north and east here, and even to the south of our facility. We don't have very much this kind of property left, and in our general plan, this is preserved as rural residential, and we opened the door with our city property there, and what I was afraid of is might happen, that lets other people come in and change this to a trucking facility. It's sad to me. I hope that we don't approve it.
But also drops, you gotta see this, very deep. See, it's partial, very, very deep and, narrow. Another option you have to look into it too, and Parkway Boulevard, go to 7200 south, no, 7200 west, not far from there. And each side of this is a lot of, wax buildings. So it's kind of like good taste to study.
Sorry, go ahead.
The property to the west, there's not a lot of buildings next to it that I guess would be disturbed by the running refrigerated units today, but there could be in the future. I don't know that I'm willing to move on the refrigerated units. So I don't know if that's when we vote, we're voting as is the development agreement, including number 9.
Yeah, good question. So they did sign the agreement with number 9 as it's in your packet. They were just hoping that perhaps the council would be willing to make a change, but if you're not, they would, again, they've already signed the agreement, are willing to live by that. They were just hoping for some leniency. So I think if the council votes on it, it can be as it's in your packet, or if someone made the motion to amend it, that's another option.
Well, we're just gonna mention that, north of here on the Bagley, we have
Beagley,
we have a lot of trucking. And it's kind of been designed for trucking and trailers, and whereas Parkway is all gonna be residential traffic, except for these trucks that are gonna go through here, so, yeah, just another. I'm trying to persuade my my friends here at the table.
Any other questions? Any other presentation?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to awards, ceremonies and proclamations scheduled for the 13th. Mr. Thomas. The Essential Peace Awards.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Craig Thomas with Community Engagement and Culture. About 2 years ago, I believe it was, we came to you and asked for permission to move forward with a new award called the Essential Piece. The Essential Piece complemented some other awards that we were already doing. And the intention of the Essential Piece Awards were to recognize outstanding residents, businesses, employees, and community partners within the city that go above and beyond what is normal within the city. So this is our second complete year with the program. As you can see, there is a mixture. Well, you may not be able to see. I can see this, but you probably don't. These individuals are residents. They are business owners. They are educators. They are youth. And they come throughout the community in various capacities. They all do amazing things to declare and to promote West Valley City as an amazing community. And that's why we do these awards, to acknowledge their efforts to make West Valley City even brighter and shine even better within the community. These individuals will be recognized at your next public meeting in January. We will do a short reception with them before they go into the regular city council. The plan is to acknowledge each one of them, give them a certificate, have a photo with them, and then pretty much it. Any questions about the names you see?
Oh, I can only pull the newbie card for another little bit, but so how are they selected?
They can be selected either through staff recommendations, city council recommendations, mayor recommendations, fellow employees or fellow businesses. So they come from wherever. We get periodic ones. When we don't have recommendations from the community, we will jump in and acknowledge somebody that's been working with the city.
Is there any place that you can see why?
So every month they are posted on Facebook. So their description is posted on Facebook every month. Every quarter they're published in a newsletter that goes out to the neighborhood groups, and then the annual recognition. So we can actually, I can send you a write-up of each one if you would like. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearings that are scheduled for January 13th. We finally have only one public hearing scheduled, and Jim, do you want to come forward and talk to about public input regarding the reopening of the 25-26 budget?
Thank you, sir. Excuse me. This is something you've become very used to and is part of the regular doing business of the city. This is the quarterly budget opening or adjustments that are proposed to the city council. It is meant to cover the normal and orderly operations of the city. It includes things like grants, budget changes that may be due to donated funds or for other type of things that have come up just in the normal course of business. So I'll go through and just point out a couple of those. The last budget opening we did that was done in September covered most of the rollovers, so you won't see any of those. There's a couple that I wanted to point out just because they're the larger ones. The first one is the police department's liquor tax grant. That's actually money that's received by the city from sales tax on liquor sales. That's been there for many, many years and can only be used for certain purposes and has to be accounted for from year to year. So this is the estimated amount that we'll be receiving this year if it's not spent for drunk driving enforcement or related activities. The funds are rolled over and it's used again the next year. So typically they do spend that. They do a great job of covering that. The next one is for $180,000. That's community education
and engagement and cultural salaries and benefits. That's some positions that have been moved from the county perspective, from the cultural center to administration. So it's just a functional process that we're doing. There's no new money appropriated there. Then we have three items that together for the police, for the fire department, you're familiar with. When they do deployments outside of the city, they're reimbursed for those costs, and those represent their responding on those fires. The money comes back and it's used for replacing the equipment used that's been used, also for the overtime expenditures that the firefighters put in when they show up on these incidents. We have a $6 million opening from stormwater and sea road funds. This is for 4800 West improvements. That is from the fund balance that is restricted for those uses. And Dan does a great job of tracking those and making sure that our projects remain on budget and on point. And then the last one there is the 6200 South widening project. And that will be from road impact fees, which are received from developers and for specific use of roads projects. And that pretty much uses the funds of the impact fees until we get new projects in.
Questions?
Had a couple of questions. The deployment reimbursements, do those cover the overtime cost?
They do cover they cover fully the cost that we have when we have deployment. They cover a little bit extra. They pay us generously, which is nice. We roll most of that back in. They also pay us, well, I wouldn't call it a stipend, but it's an allowance for equipment use. So as our equipment is used on those sites and wears down, they pay us for that. That's why we usually put this money either into overtime to reimburse them for the costs, or else we'll put it into our CIP, capital improvement program, for the replacement of that equipment. And you'll see various fire projects and equipment come in that use those sources of funds.
And then I had a couple questions on underruns. What portion of underruns are they due to vacancies or just lower wages?
Yeah, that's a general question. Doesn't have anything to do with the budget openings because we don't have any of those in there. But yeah, an underrun can be classified as a number of different things. It can be vacancies. It can be budgeted positions that have been filled that are possibly not paid at the price that the amount that was originally in the budget. They could also be underruns for budgeted items. For example, that beer tax that can only be used in for one purpose. If they only spent 150,000 in there, that 50,000 would be available the next year. So it just means underspending the budget that's been already authorized.
So if we didn't have any underruns, we would still balance. We expended all of what we've allocated.
Yeah, we're required to budget a balanced budget. That's one thing that's unique to local governments. And with the state, that's one of the things that maintains good bond ratings and good governance. We have to have a balanced budget.
Regardless if there were underruns, it would still balance.
Sometimes those underruns are taken into account in balancing the budget because they're almost always going to happen, especially with personnel. I know that you take some of the larger departments, for example, the police department. I forget what their authorized numbers are. I think it's around 230 officers. Often it's very hard to keep those staff, so there usually is money left under that. We have a lot of historical information on what the underruns are. Sometimes it makes sense to just take that into account, and sometimes that is part of the process.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Resolutions for the 13th. Resolution 25-188, authorizing the execution of an amendment to a development agreement with Alpine Homes LLC for property located at approximately 3814 and 3876 South 6000 West. Mr. Pastrick.
Thank you. So, a little bit of introduction on this one, just to explain the process on a development agreement amendment. So first of all, the city is under no obligation to amend a development agreement. You have the option to do that, right? So basically, once an agreement is established, both parties have to agree to a change. And the process we've used for this in the past, we continue to use is if someone would like to propose an amendment, I'll review that change with Mr. Peely. And if we feel like that the offer includes something that is essentially an exchange where they're, maybe the city is giving something and then they give something in return, or there's some mutual benefit, then we'll bring that to the council. However, we have had proposals in the past where someone will basically just ask for reductions, but the city gets nothing in return. And in those cases, we just don't bring those to the council because there's no trade-off to the city. There's no benefit in our view to the city to do that. So just wanted to give that background. So with that background in mind, a little bit of history here. So it was last year, the city approved a zone change on the property here at 3814 and 3876 South, 6000 West. The applicant at the time was Grow Development. That was rezoned. You may recall this is a property that had a number of older homes on it already. There's the development agreement. The property has since been sold to Alpine Homes, and they're asking for an amendment, and I'll explain what that is. So this is the plat for the development. It hasn't recorded yet, so this is still being worked on. But there's 38 lots total. 8 of those lots face 6000 West. And you'll recall in those discussions, the council wanted the lots on 6000 West to be larger. Okay, so they are. And the request here is that is to allow the homes on those 8 lots that face 6000 West to have a basement entry. So the development agreement right now precludes basement entries in all of the homes. And the request is to allow just on those 8 homes to have a basement entry. And in exchange for that, they're proposing 2 things. The first is that the square footage of the homes, of those 8 homes, would be increased from 2250 to 2350 square feet. And then those 8 homes would have 3-car garages. So that's what they're offering in exchange. Now, the reason that they're wanting the basement entry is to accommodate the addition of an ADU. And to be clear, our code allows ADUs in whether it's in the basement or just within the home. Now, we don't allow detached ADUs, but we allow them to be within the home. So the development agreement doesn't actually preclude them or prohibit an ADU. It just prohibits the basement walkout. So they could still do the ADU. It just means that they'd have to come in through the main entrance as opposed to coming in through a basement entrance. And that's basically one of the points the applicant was making is that they could still have an ADU. It's more convenient if someone's living there to have a separate entrance than to not have a separate entrance. But in summary, again, if we go back to this, for the 8 lots that are facing 6000 West, the ask is that those 8 homes would be allowed to have a basement entrance, and in exchange, they would increase the area of those homes and then also provide a 3-car garage on those homes.
Does this amendment get noticed to all the neighbors so they can come and tell us how they feel about parking on 6000 West?
It does not. Yeah, it does not.
Because they did tell us about that when we approved it originally. So
I will say that one of the things that this revision does too is clarify that for those 8 homes, not only would they have a 3rd-car garage, they would also have a 6th parking stall on the side of the garage. So they'll have a 3-car garage, the driveway, and then a parking space on the side of the 3-car garage. So basically space for 6 vehicles.
What's the frontage? That's too small for me to see.
80 feet. I had to squint, but yes, 80.
And how wide is one? So you're saying there's gonna be 4 places to park in front, in the driveway.
No, so the driveway could be, because oftentimes what happens with a three-car garage, it may flare, right? It's not a full width. But so you'd have three in the garage, at least two in the driveway, but then the sixth one would be to the side of the garage. So they've committed to put in a pad, like an RV pad, if you will, to the side. Now, if the driveway is the full width of the garage, they could even do 7 vehicles at that point.
It's tough to get. 50% has to be
Correct.
landscape.
Right. So if the driveways were say 30 feet, then they can still meet that. Because that have another 50. So.
And in this development, are there any requirements to finish the basements?
So the basement, and they did say that they would have basements, but it wasn't required that they be finished. So they can be finished or unfinished. But and I'm just looking at, it was in item number 6. So in Exhibit B, item 6. So that one stays the same. They would have a basement. It's finished or unfinished.
So my concern there is that we have an outside entrance and they rent it out and never finish the basement. So they have people move in.
Yeah, 6,000 is busy.
It's busy.
There's cars
Yep.
parked on the street and it's.
Yeah.
Steve,
Yes.
did we put a stipulation with no on-street parking on 6,000?
So we did not, although that is certainly within the council's purview. So it's with it being a city street. So to clarify, when it comes to public right of way, we generally don't address standards in a development agreement for public right of way because we already called the shots on that, right? We could, independent of the development agreement, just say no parking on 6,000 West.
Okay.
Okay.
Even whether we approve this or deny it, I would suggest we do that anyway.
Did you hear what she said?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't.
She said whether we approve or deny it, she would prefer that we not allow parking on 6,000 West.
If you're gonna put up to 30 feet of driveway in on each one, there won't be a whole lot of parking on 6,000 West available except right up next to the driveways. So, yeah, that's my concern, is I don't want to see 6,000 become a parking lot. And that's why we were against the extra entrance. The parking, and those that are around didn't ever want to see it become a parking lot either.
Can we request that this isn't included in our next regular meeting? Since it's on the study meeting, we have to, if there's 4 nods that we don't want it to go forward, and that's, I don't know. That was my concern with, like, we've said no to some development
Other
agreement
developments.
amendments.
Yep.
And now we have one that's shown up on a study meeting.
Yeah, I have that concern as well, because we have had developers want to amend them and.
I
it's
think the
been a-
developer is here tonight too, so if you want to.
So the thing that the city's getting for this is 100 more square feet.
The larger square footage in the 3-car garages, because the agreement currently is just the 2-car.
Richard.
Yes, well, sorry, I
Disgusting,
posed a
man.
question that put you in a pickle.
I'm just trying to think, I mean, we didn't mail a notice, but also I'm not sure that we can take a public vote in this meeting to remove it. It's kind of like a gray,
Yeah, I think we have to do it.
I think we would have to do that like in a regular meeting, right?
Yeah.
I guess the only question is the fact that we haven't noticed it to go out there anyway, go on the regular meeting anyway. So is that really a decision that we're
Yeah.
having to vote on? That's a good question. I have.
We can take it and see how it goes in 2 weeks, but I just I'm trying to streamline things.
Bet you could probably just remove it from the agenda.
We didn't notice that it
We didn't
would be.
notice it. Yep.
Okay.
I'll confirm that, but I think that's. I'd rather leave it on. Not that I'm thinking that I'll vote for it, but we've put it here and I mean, you can vote yes or no then.
So to me, if we do that, then we're opening up the door for other developers. One I know you all know of that wants to amend an agreement and I think we would need to do that. We can't just pick and choose. So to me, we're setting a precedent, kind of.
No, I guess the staff felt like we were getting something.
Yeah, so,
benefit,
yeah, so if,
But
yeah.
that other developer, I don't think we're seeing a benefit come back, but maybe. he
But if
could
they
offer
knew,
something,
right,
then he
right.
would bring it back, but.
Right. So I'm okay with it if we will allow other developers from time to time.
And we have, just for what it's worth, we have brought other amendments to the council before where again, as staff, we felt like that the city was getting something in return for that. And again, that's been a judgment call we've made, but if we're making the wrong judgment calls, we can take a different approach.
Well, I'm okay leaving it on as long as going forward, if we have other developers that think they're giving something in return, that we consider those as well. That's all I would say. So if everyone's on board to do that.
Eric did confirm that we can remove it if the council decides that they would not like to have that. And I believe the applicant is here as well, if you have any clarifying questions for them.
We want to open it up to the applicant, or just,
Sure, I think if the applicant has anything to add, maybe help us make a decision.
Well, I think if we're going to hear from the applicant, it would be in response to a question from the council.
okay? Does anyone have a question for the applicant? Okay. Then at this point, as I'm kind of looking around, we're leaving it on the agenda for next week.
I would,
Or
Yes.
2 weeks from now.
Yep.
Next
Next
meeting.
month.
Next year.
Next year.
yeah, I agree with Cindy that we're setting a bad practice, and I would rather leave it off and not open us up a can of worms that we're negotiating every development agreement after every approval.
Yeah, I think if council, I remember one amendment, the developer came to public comment and requested that we talk about it, and we talked about it again in study meeting, and then we decided we'd bring it back. I think that's probably the preferred way for me, is that if we have it as a communication item, we talk about it, but then I know it delays things a little bit, but I'd rather have it that way than have show up and we have to vote on it if we're really not interested.
I agree with that.
Okay. Anybody else agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll remove it from the regular meeting agenda for January 3rd. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
25-189. Chief Evans is going to talk to us about authorizing the purchase of 2 fire engines.
Back.
You know, he's asking for money.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Sorry. We're asking to purchase 2 new fire engines. We are almost 3 years out to get them. The purchase of these engines, are from Pierce. We go through the HGAC contract, which is a contract that gets us the best price. Couple of the reasons we're asking to do this where it's close to 3 years out is 2 of them will replace a 2019, but by the time these engines get here, they'll have over 120,000 miles on them. Right now, our reserve engines that we're using, one is 20 years old that we're still using today. It'll be 23 years old, and then the 2012. One of the problems we're having with the 2005 units is we can't get parts for them anymore. We're actually, in some cases, having to see if somebody will manufacture a part. So what we're asking for is to purchase these engines, at least get in line for the engines now. The payment is not until the engines are delivered. The other thing is doing them now, there will be a price increase. They increase the prices usually the end of January, somewhere in the middle of 5%, which if we can get in, they freeze the price when we order them. I'll take any questions you have.
The question. Or maybe more of a comment. I do support, replacing these outdated or soon to, they eventually will be outdated by the time we get in line, but I can't let this go without just mentioning, we have a lot of neighborhoods that have narrow roadways, high density, and to the extent, and I know it's a little bit, well, it's a lot more money, but I think a tiller truck would benefit our city.
Yeah, these are engines. One thing about these engines that we've went to, they are a smaller engine with tighter turning radiuses. I'll be more than happy to order a tiller. If you'd like me to, I can get you a price on that real quick. I think that'll be a sticker shock though. On that one. But I do agree. We are getting to a point possibly in the future when we order another ladder truck, we're going to have to do this. These engines though, we have one right now that's like this. And the Cruise with the turning radiuses, we can get into a lot of the areas that even the 2019s are hard to get in.
Any other questions?
So is it $2 million or $1 million?
It's that, well, yeah. That's good.
Does the fiscal,
Kind of make it look good. It's $1 million per each.
okay,
Yeah.
you say two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
Not a small change.
What's $1
a
million?
rounding error.
It's not rounding error. It's the way it broke out. They're $1 million each for two. Will tell you that the sticker shock for me for the price of engines, we used to buy ladder trucks for the $1 million. Now we're at engines for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. 25-190, authorizing the execution of an amendment to an interlocal cooperation agreement with Salt Lake County for library security services. Deputy Chief Stokes.
This is just a proposal to extend an agreement we entered into in 2023 to provide security services for the library right here on Lancer Way. To just extend it through the end of next year. In this agreement, we provide security services, pay them through our payroll, and then they reimburse us quarterly on the pay, so. Any questions?
The other library under a different agreement?
Out in Hunter, this one specifically just because of this area and tracks ending here and some of
So they
the,
doesn't have security, okay.
some of the struggles they've had.
Has it been needed or is it more of a deterrence, just having a visual presence?
Both, yeah. I mean, we can't control when and who I mean, the clientele that come in there aren't using it for a library, so they just like to have us there and available if needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 25-191. Approve a sub-recipient agreement to participate in a consortium to receive HOME investment partnership funds. Peggy?
Thank you. We belong to the Salt Lake County Home Consortium. They are a pass-through organization from HUD to administer the home funds that we receive. And so this year they have awarded us $414,752.02. This is the most amount of money we've received from them since I've been here. So we're very excited. We use these funds for home rehab programs and emergency repairs. And so we're asking today just to agree to accept these funds and to send back the agreement to Salt Lake County that will participate.
Questions?
So when Housing Connect took over the Housing Authority, that's done, right? That's finished. This wasn't part of that, only the
No.
pictures or.
And I don't know if there's someone here that can tell me, but ever since I've been here, we've not been part of the Housing Authority. Grants has been separate for, I think, for 8 to 10 years from them. So by moving all the Housing Authority didn't affect the grants division at all, except we have a new home.
Anything else? Thank you. 25-192. Authorizing the execution of an interlocal cooperative agreement with Taylorsville City for the 2026 overlay project. Mr. Wilson.
Good evening, council. So we are getting ready to get going on our 2026 overlay project. That project this year, we have 3 different areas that we're going to be working on in 2026. 2 of those are on 4100 South and one's on 2700 West. 2 different segments on 4100 South. We have one out west, just west of 6400 West. And then we have the eastern section, which will go from 2200 West to Redwood Road. Obviously 2700 West and that eastern portion of 4100 South, we share that road with Taylorsville. We've been talking about working together on overlaying these roads for quite a few years now. We've had a few holdups as far as UTA had a project on 2700 West that we wanted to get done first, and then Taylorsville had their connector road over to the I-215 frontage road that they wanted to get done. So now that those projects are out of the way, we want to move forward with an overlay on 27th and 41. So this interlocal agreement is just basically outlining how Taylorsville and West Valley plan to work together and share the cost in overlaying those 2 roadways.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Would the council like to add any or all of the 5 resolutions to the consent agenda for January 15th?
I'd be okay with C, D, and E.
Okay, C, D, and E. A we took off, so that'll leave us one resolution. Okay. All right. Communications. Council calendar, any questions? Okay. Potential future agenda items.
Nothing from me.
Okay. Council reports.
A number of us at my hometown Christmas celebration last night. It was a fun event every year. It's nice that a wide variety of talent and people that show up there. It's fun.
So I went to an elected officials training on Saturday. I don't know who schedules a 5-hour training on December 6th, but you know, I went. I was glad to be there. There were a lot of people there. I learned a lot of good things, so that's good. And then I also went to the open house at the Pierce Cottages at Pierce Farm. Yeah, those are that one and the one on 2820 Parkway Boulevard. What was the name of that one? Oh, there it is right there, the Heather. Nice developments. That one's gonna have like 65 units in it. So, yeah, it was nice to go and look at those.
They had a good sales pitch.
Well, yeah, I guess. They didn't hook me on it, but there's a lot of people there. There are a lot of people there looking, so that was good.
Any other council reports? I decided this was probably the best time to let everybody know. Anybody who was here last meeting got to witness a minor stroke in person and on record. And I'd like to thank Chief Evans, City Manager Peely for taking note, and they had an entourage from Station 73 to meet me after the meeting. Kept me around here for a while and then said, yeah, your wife can take you over to the hospital. And the hospital finally let me go from there about 1:30 in the morning. And I tested every noisy machine and every noisy thing they could do that night. They don't have evening noise restrictions in the ER. They had me see a neurologist who couldn't get me in for 2 weeks. My regular physician was able to get me in and the next Monday, and she told me no driving for 12 weeks. So that's why I don't have a big report. I went to a few things that my kids could work into their schedule too, so they could take me. Yesterday, I saw the neurologist. She looked at what had happened, and she looked at me, and we asked the question, you know, how long before he can drive? And she said, why is he not driving? And I said, well, that's what my internist said. She said, that's the general response. Looking at what you've had, looking at your results, and looking at everything else, if you keep up on your exercise and eating well and everything you're doing now to keep active, you may have a 5% chance of it happening again. And it was so small, you never lost consciousness, you knew what was happening and you recognized it and passed the information on to somebody else until you could take over again. No reason for you not to drive. If you start feeling wrong, pull over, let it pass, or whatever you need to do. But I see no problem. So I got released from jail yesterday. And my kids were very happy to say, oh, Because I did have everything on my agenda, put on a spreadsheet and try and find a driver for me. So didn't attend my hometown presentation last night because I was in attendance at mosquito abatement, getting their tax increase passed. You know, nobody likes tax increases, even if it's only 70 cents. So that's my report. Doctor yesterday said I'm strong and healthy, and she said, if it happens again, come see me. Doesn't, been good knowing you. And I said, it's been good not knowing you. So they did put me on a blood thinner, and they said, that's all you need to worry about. So I'm back. Can't get rid of me that easy. And Lars, thanks for filling in. Anytime. Nicole, thanks for only putting on the minutes. I just turned the time over to him. I was wondering how you would write that. So. All that I have. Any other council reports? Okay, we do have a need for a closed session for the disposition of real property. If somebody would make that motion.
Motion to move to a closed session for the disposition of real property, and after that adjourn with no other items discussed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We need a roll call though.
Councilmember Wood,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitstone,
Yes.
Councilmember Harmon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hune,
Yes.
Councilmember Nordfelt,
Yes.
Mayor Ling,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Christensen.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.